finally crowned your WOR Season 10 champion.
And history's been made. Ballina, the first WOR PS4 champion. What a championship, what a season. Absolutely phenomenal. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to WOR here, back again on Sunday nights. And I have to say, we saw a fabulous race, didn't we, earlier on in the real world of Formula One. And I have to say, it really has set the bar, I think, for us to try and obtain to. But I tell you what, we'll do our best. We are here at Interlagos here for the Brazilian Grand Prix in race 3 of the WOR PC social races. But I'm not alone. The man right next to me on my right-hand side, it's Ginger Andy, the Scotsman. How you doing, my man?
I'm looking forward to it, George. Another great night of action here in the WOR social races. It's going to be fantastic. As you said, I mean, we really are going to be hard pushed to beat what we've seen today in the Hungarian Grand Prix. I mean, at one point we had, one car moving off the grid. I mean, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? So, no, it should be good tonight. I'm sure we won't have one car moving off the grid tonight in this race. I don't think it's actually possible on the game. But no, it's going to be good fun. We had a good race last week as well in WOR as well in the social race at Spa, so it should be good again tonight. And let's see how Uppbeat fares up against Jake Benham today. Yeah,
absolutely. I'd say Jake Benham, one of the rising stars that we've really enjoyed watching, and he's only 15 years of age, folks, and that's amazing. You know, we've got some of the freshest talent on the market here at WOR, and this is the great uniqueness about it. Not only have we got your top F1 esports talent, the likes of Jarno Uppbeat, who's competing tonight, as well as Alvaro Carreton, Daniele Haddad as well, but we have got all these young talents that are beginning to rise their way up through the ranks. Yari Fitz, for example, Ruben Pedreño, Lenny Papinta, he was extraordinary. And how about Thomas Harvey as well, last time out as well, Andy? He comes back again tonight, but he was extraordinary on an alternate strat last time out.
Yeah, of course he was. The alternate strategy last week and the week before in Bahrain, really proving that it is quite strong. Will this be another track where it might work? You can overtake here in Brazil, and I think Taiwan is quite bad. So again, it could be another race tonight where someone could go in that reverse strategy and make it work. We'll have our eyes peeled on it from mid-race and see if anyone can try and make it happen. But you're absolutely right. There is so much young talent coming through. Thomas Harvey, as you said. And of course, Jake Benham, he really is rising to the top very, very quickly since moving from Xbox. He's moved on to PC. He's took it to like a duck to water, and he's taken to the new game like a duck to water as well, and he's looking very, very strong. So I'm really excited, George. I think we're going to have another great race tonight here in WOR, and we'll see who can win out. But Uppbeat, Benham, they're probably the two favourites. There's plenty of other drivers out there that could probably challenge as well. Who are you looking at, George, that could maybe challenge those two?
Well, I have to say, it's pretty much an open book. I've got to look at Aston Martin because recently they've been making and breaking all the headlines, obviously, in the recent world of F1 esports, of course. Lucas Blakely, who has returned to league racing after such a long layoff, of course. If any of you tune into PSGL on Thursday nights, you would have seen that Lucas Blakely has taken the last 2 races on the spin in those esports invitationals. And Aston Martin come here as well tonight, flexing a fully strong esports lineup. Shanaka Clay, who of course we've seen over the last couple of races, certainly here at WOR and PSGL, has been absolutely extraordinary himself, right at the top end, challenging the likes of Jarno Uppbeat, and obviously has challenged Alvaro Carreton in the past. But he is not alone. Daniele Haddad, who of course has been racing in F1 esports for such a long time, a veteran really of the game, and certainly with that sort of experience, they could be a formidable pairing when you've got such a good pairing of drivers there that have worked together, used to each other, know exactly how each other works, and they could sort of routinely try and optimize each other's strategies, try and help each other. It's a giant game of chess, and that's exactly how they're going to try and certainly work their way out, certainly the circuit of Brazil. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal because, like you say, you need that experience, certainly around this sort of a track. There's lots of variation, lots of different kinds of corners. Sector 2 is really twisty here at Interlagos. Of course, you've got the first sector, which is, despite the center S's, you've got the long straight at Reta Aposta heading into Decidia del Lago. But when you head into Sector 2, that's when things start to get a little bit complicated. You've got to try and get used to a couple of the bends when you head through the likes of Bico de Pato, and then heading through the Ferradura as such, heading through the next left and up towards Juncha, that almighty elevation climb, before you then make your way onto the long stretch before the Arquibancadas, heading down across the start-finish line to commence your next lap. It is going to take all their wits and all their experience to get a positive result here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely, George. It's an old school track. It's like one of the classics. It's like Silverstone. It's like Monza. You know, a real driver's circuit, isn't it? Old school. And, you know, it's got a bit of elevation change about it as well, which, you know, is always good as well. A bit of character around it. And, you know, it will punish you because the grass is not far away around here. The barriers actually aren't that far away in certain parts of the track. The final part of the lap in the middle sector too. So, yeah, you need to try and nail the lap. And that middle sector, you almost get a bit of deja vu, don't you? The first part of it, and then the second part of it, it's downhill, uphill, downhill, then uphill again, downhill again. So, yeah, it's quite a challenging circuit, quite a technical circuit. And it'll be interesting to see how the drivers get on. And it's below down right now. Turn 1 and 2, they're very tricky as well, George, aren't they? If you lock up into that first corner, you totally ruin your exit through turn 2. You ruin the speed you carry through 3 to the end of the first sector. And because it's downhill on a slope, you know, it can be quite a tricky corner to get right. But, you know, that's really is the key to setting yourself up for a really good lap here. As we load into qualifying for this social race. Just a quick reminder, folks, just an 18-minute qualifying session at the moment. When the season starts properly, we will be doing Q1, Q2, Q3, full qualifying, which, of course, just to try and make it as realistic as possible for all these esports drivers. So, yeah, looking forward to it, George. Qualifying should be very, very close. Average lap time, what are you looking at? 1 minute 4, 1 minute 5, something like that. Just over 60 seconds. So, it should be very, very interesting.
Yeah, that'll certainly be the ballpark, I think, that everyone is trying to meet. Obviously, we've got a couple of, certainly got a homegrown talent in Felipe Souza as well, who's making his appearance tonight. He'll be looking to do something at his home circuit as well. I hope you're all doing well in the live chat as well. Please hit up your comments for who you think is going to take pole position tonight in qualifying. It's going to be absolutely extraordinary. Andy, have you got a tip for us?
No, I've not got any tips. I just expect that both Mercedes are going to be very, very quick. I agree with what you said about the Aston Martins. I think we're really going to keep an eye on them too. And my other tip is watch out for the lead runner after qualifying outside the top 10. What are they going to do? What's the best strategy to be on? All these drivers are going to be learning very, very quickly as things stand about the best strategies going into the season ahead. So, yeah, it's going to be exciting to see. And let's see what the drivers qualify on. Will the soft tire be the best tire to actually qualify on? Certainly looks like it. A few drivers heading out onto the track right now on a set of softs.
Yep, definitely. And once again, we're going to witness this man, Alvaro Carreton, take to the circuit. And he's starting on the medium tyres. And take a look at that tyre graphic, Andy. Very interesting. Quite a few of them opted to try out an initial lap on the mediums. Obviously, maybe to try and save a set of softs. But you never know. You might find the odd driver that might yet manage to pull off a worldie and land medium tyres into the top 10. And what sort of an advantage that would give you, certainly heading into a race experience. As you get down, see Alvaro Carreton now rounding Junchao and very shortly making his way around turn 14 past the Arquibancadas and certainly about to set his flying lap. And how important is it, Andy, to set a good confident banker lap at a circuit like Brazil?
Yeah, very important. As always, George, you want to get a nice lap time on the board. Don't put as much pressure on yourself as we now watch Carreton attack the Senes, downhill through the left-hander, get on the throttle nice and early, sweeping through this long left-hander of turn 3 through cover us all, hugging the inside like his favourite granny on the medium tyres. Might pick up a slight toe from the car in front as he brakes just around the 70-metre mark, turning into the left-hander, sweeping down the hill he goes, takes the shortest route once again, and then uphill into this right-hander. Really challenging corner, the rear can step out. You don't want to get onto the car, but it'll unsettle the car, and then down into this tricky right-hander, gentle in the throttle, and then squirted into this left-hander again. Another tricky corner on this racetrack, Alvaro Carreton, and this is what I was talking about. Deja vu, you go uphill, downhill, then uphill and downhill again. The rear stepping out on Carreton there as he sweeps down the hill towards the end of the lap, and then he's going to be full throttle from this moment on, all the way up to the start-finish line, and it looks like it's going to be an opening banker on those medium tyres for Alvaro Carreton as he sweeps up the hill. And is he going to come into the pits? No, he's going to take the shortest possible run to the line. Fine margins. What's it going to be from Carreton? It's a 1 minute 6.3 to open his account for the session.
Oh, spoken like a true linguist, Andy. I have to say, just look at that, a 106.331. A very good banker lap for Alvaro Carreton to get his session underway. Jarno Opmeer also out on track 2, the Flying Dutchman. Looking to follow suit. Pro Golfer goes to the top, though, and certainly swinging for the fences with a 105.65 winners now. Jarno Opmeer straight into P2 on the medium tyres and trumps Alvaro Carreton's time by just around 0.2 of a second. So a very good start by the Dutchman, going on or following on from what he did last week. Of course, he was absolutely superb again. And what can we say about this man that we haven't already said, Andy? A huge talent in the world of esports, F1 Esports world champion currently as well. And certainly if you can keep this, well, this sort of pace, this sort of vein of format, he is going to be a force to be reckoned with still.
Oh, you're absolutely right, George, no doubt about it. He's reached the pinnacle, he's reached the top. It's one thing winning a title though, George. Going and defending it is something else. And so far on F1 Esports, I know it's been a really short history, Brendan Lee has managed to do that back to back, but you've seen since then just how tight the field is and how competitive it is. Fine margins deciding races. So, you know, he's got his work cut out this year. We've discussed it, George, haven't we? There's a few drivers rising to come and challenge him. So, yeah, he's got his work cut out to win the championship again, but it's hard to bet against him. The Flying Dutchman, as you call him, George, is a very, very formidable force.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, we got this man too, Jari Fitz. I've got to say, his first appearance this season on this new game. And I have to say, the Alpine team were delighted. And certainly, if this man, Jari Fitz, can give them another cracking result after Esteban Ocon's effort, that would be sensational. He opts to go for the pit lane, though, not landing an initial time. But nevertheless, great to see him out on track. His teammate, Ruben Vallejo, is also out on track too. And I'm sure we'll be seeing a little bit more from the Spaniard as well. Plenty out and about on track. Valentin Bruffair out too. And not forgetting the new young superstar, Jake Benham as well. He's out on an outlap here, Andy.
Yeah, let's see what Jake Benham can do then to open his account. Still to get a lap on the board. Interestingly, going out on the soft compound tires, George. Quite interesting, isn't it? Some drivers opting for the mediums for that opening run, others going for the softs. And I think a lot of the time, some of the drivers they like to do that opening run in the mediums so that when they jump on a set of softs, they feel rewarded and they can go out there and push really hard on a brand new set, and it just grips up for them and it gives them even more confidence. But you know, all the drivers have got different styles, different strategies and ways to approach a qualifying session, but Jake Benham not interested in a set of the medium tyres. Straight out he goes on a set of softs, and he is now winding up for another flying lap. Let's see what he can do this weekend. I'm just really excited, George, to see all this young talent performing so well, so strongly, and taking it to the likes of Jarno Opmeer. What has Benham got up his sleeves then as he starts a flying lap here at Sao Paulo, Brazil? Quickest time so far, Ruben Petrenio, 105.6. What can Benham do?
Yeah, Benham now making his way down the stretch now. This, of course, being Retta Aposta on the soft tyres. Jakey B, as they know him. Certainly known as Jake Benham, though, as well here today. There you can see on the timing tower, Jakey Benham he's opted for today. A mixture of the two as he makes his way down through towards the next right-hander of Ferradura into turn 7 and now down towards turn 8. You're almost cutting back on yourself. You can very easily oversteer at that point of the circuit, but he's done it exceptionally well. Now heading around the Pinarino up towards turn 10 now. A little bit of an elevation change as he makes his way around Bico to Pato at turn 11 and then down towards the Marulo as well. Remember, of course, these bends synonymous with Brazil. Of course, many an upstart here in Grand Prix. A flick of the rear end then as he makes his way around Junchao. Now flies up the hill past turn 14. The Arquibancadas, the people in the grandstands, watches certainly the Black Arrow storms down across the line. Jake Benham up into P4, and certainly a good place to be to get the ball going. Certainly plenty of time left, just over 11 minutes left, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more cracking times. But Valentin Bruffair currently on pole.
Yeah, good time there. 1 minute 5.3 from Bruffair to go quickest of all in the Haas then. Who else we got out there on a lap? I think we've got nobody at the minute that I can find out there. But yeah, good effort from Bruffair, and he's a good 10th and a half clear of Marino in second place. So that's a really good start for him. So yeah, let's see how it works out for him. So looking very good at the minute, as we're still waiting on a lap time from Shinaka Clay, Sergi Smasher, Yari Fitz, and Chanakinchi. Has he retired from the session? Has he disconnected? I'm not too sure, but he's greyed out on the screen on the left-hand side. Not too sure what has happened to him, but we're still waiting on a time from both Aston Martins.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sam McBride, of course, CRG Smasher, currently out in P16. Shinaka Clay, currently in the pits. Aston Martin not opting for a run yet. Chanakinchi out after an early retirement. I'm not quite sure what happened to him. I have heard, in fact, in my ear that he has actually crashed. He crashed in turn 2 as Jarno Uppbeat hits the top of the table there with a 105.369, and then followed certainly by Valentin Bruffair. But here comes Yari Fitz there for Alpine up into P10, and certainly not a bad start there from the Alpine car. He'll be hoping to go a little bit better than that, but always handy to get at least one time on the board. Certainly Sam McBride looking to do the same as well. The Aston Martin is looking to try and initialise his first start here in this race 3, or certainly in this qualifying for race 3 at Brazil, as he now wanders his way through sector 2. Still plenty of circuit for him to encounter before he can cross the line, as he rounds now around the Marullo up turn 12, now heading up towards Jun Chao, and certainly, as you can now see, Sam McBride, CRG Smasher now rounding Jun Chao, that a famed corner where it can all go wrong for you, but he's got to say, looking very smart indeed. The Aston Martin powering its way through. He might opt for the box. He certainly does. No lap this time from Sam McBride. He's boxing in, but Jarno Uppbeat, what a time, a 105.369, Andy.
Yeah, Caraton pops into second place, just 3,000s behind him, as some of the top drivers aim to get to the top. Lou Welsh is out there. I'm not sure if he's invalidated. He's only a 10th up at the minute. I think he might have on this run, so he will be going again. Still waiting on a time from Shinaka Clay as well, but at the minute it is Jarno Uppbeat on top as things stand. Risky is out there at the minute. He's gone through the first sector. Let's see what he can do. He's currently 15th quickest on a 105.9.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not the only one. Lenny Papinta also coming to the end of one of his laps, albeit I think as he nurses the car around, he's on a slow lap here. In fact, we've also got Hawk out on track as well in the McLaren. Risky as well, as you say, Andy, coming through sector 2 in the Alfa Romeo. Dodges past a McLaren, just letting him by there, going slowly as he makes his way round Jun Chao himself. What can the Alfa Romeo do? Of course, very, very excited, this man, to be taking part in his very first PC event here at WOR, and we're looking forward to seeing what he can do as he now rushes through, and certainly as he's about to cross the line. What can he land here today? And it's an improvement, a very good improvement, in fact, a 105.454, and this goes along with the fact, guys, that we spoke about earlier. Lots of young up-and-coming drivers looking to make a name for themselves, and what better place to do it than here at WOR?
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really tight again, as you'd expect round here, as Valentin Bruffair is on another hot lap in the Haas. Also out there on a quick one is Shinaka Clay. He's doing his first lap, but we'll stick with Bruffair, I think, because he is currently up there in third position and trying to challenge Uppbeat and Caraton. The Haas driver making his way through that middle sector at the minute. Is he going to be able to threaten the guys at the top of the order? He's very, very close, only 200ths away at the minute, such as how close the field is from pole position, but it's only enough for third at the minute. What's he like through the middle sector? He's going to be a little bit up. He's half a tenth up on his previous best, and as it stands, that will be enough to put Bruffair onto provisional pole then. And what's he got through the final sector? The Ferrari engine singing in the back of that Haas as Bruffair heads for the line. Is he going to go quickest? Yes, he is. 105.305, and he's 800s clear now of Jarno Uppbeat. Bruffair becomes the new top driver in the order.
Yep, superb visit from Valentin Bruffair, and I have to say, if any of you tuned in to PSGL last season, he was one of the certainly one of the exciting up-and-comers. We saw him certainly take part, and he was certainly battling with the best of them. Never underestimate this man, of course, and I would never count him out, certainly in a race such as this, where a lot of these guys were opponents that he faced last season, and certainly one force to certainly not be reckoned with. As now we watch CRG Smasher, Sam McBride, his teammate Shinaka Clay made his way up into P6 after his hot lap as well, so it'd be great to see another Aston Martin finally nail the last time on the board. Obviously he's the only one not to actually set a time at all, so as he now rounds his way through and just rounding his way through the next right, I get the feeling that maybe he's struggling a little bit, Andy. He's certainly looking a little bit tepid around this track.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree with that. Smasher really struggling to get the lap together without invalidating his. Felipe Souza is coming to the end of his lap. He's a tenth and a bit up on his previous best. He's currently 10th quickest. Should move him into the top 6 or 7. And he's actually lost time in the final sector. So maybe a little bit more drag on that Red Bull. Maybe less straight line speed, not too sure. but it's not worked out in the end because it looked a certainty like he was going to go a little bit quicker. But they've got some of the quick guys out there on a lap at the minute. Jarno Opmeer is out there. He's down through the first sector. What's he looking like through the second sector, George? He's up by 7/100ths of a second. Will it be enough, though, to put his Mercedes car back onto pole position? Let's have a look then. Caraton is behind him on the road, but he's only in the second sector. Here comes Jarno Opmeer for the line. Is he going to knock Bouffet off top spot with 5 minutes to go? Yes, he is. And into the 1 minute 5.2s now for Jarno Opmeer. He dips the bar a little bit lower, and now we wait for Caraton, George, who has invalidated his latest lap.
Yeah, and I have to say, Jarno's teammate also on a flyer, Jake Benham, who's also looking to try and tip things in the balance here for Mercedes as he now makes his way down towards the start-finish line now. What's Jakey B going to land? P3! And that's 2 silver arrows up in the top 3, and that is sensational. And this is almost requisite of what we saw previously as well. Jake Benham back with a sensational visit once again, and what a talent this man really looks. And we'll have to wait and see whether he can turn that quali pace into race pace, of course, as now we can see that Alvaro Caraton has come into the pit lane. Lenny Papinta, though, how about that, Andy? The Ferrari getting into the top 5. He wowed us all at Bahrain. He was really physical on track, really showed his aggressive streak, and he's liking it. He's loving life here on the PC platform here at WOR. P5 for the Ferrari, and that's exactly what they want to see.
Yeah, great stuff from Papinta. Ruben Pedreño was on a lap, but he's ended up invalidating at turn 4. So now we have to wait and see who else is out there on a quick one. I'm struggling to find anyone at the minute, George. They're all on outlaps at the minute. As Louis Welsh comes into the pits, the Smasher on one. No, he's still not got a lap time on the board. Has CRG Smasher, and at the minute, he's sitting at the back row with Chanakinchi. So it's not working out for them, but everyone out there at the minute is on an outlap or an in-lap. So let's wait and see who is going to do the first lap. Is Lenny Papinta on another one? Let's see. No, that's slow as well. So, yep, it's all calm before the storm. The final shootout, 3.5 minutes roughly to go in the session. It's Opmeer from Bouffet from Benham. Bouffet and a silver arrow sandwich as things stand.
Yeah, certainly is. And got to say, what a lap, though, from Lenny Papinta. Great to see him back here in WOR and nestling a P5 at this late stage. It's a great position for the Ferrari to be in. A huge boon of confidence, and that's exactly what you need in situations such as this. But now you can see there's only one car really actively out on track that even shows any intent of setting a fast lap. Now, as I say that, Thomas Harvey, who impressed us all at Belgium, is also out and about on track. And we're very shortly going to see, oh my word, I get the feeling I might have commentators cursed him there. Thomas Harvey going for a slide, heading down into the retro posture, and that is not ideal at all. He's got to box as soon as possible. He might be in danger, actually, Andy, because by the time he ventures back into the pit lane, he's going to be right on the bubble before he can set a final lap. So we're going to have to wait and see how this affects the Red Bull later on into this session.
It's not the ideal situation. I want to get in and back out. Pro golfer, by the way, improving by a 10th.5, moving from 14th up to 9th and setting the exact same time as Oscar Marino. That's just how close things are. Look at that group. Pedreño to Marino. There's what, 4 cars covered by what, 1/100th of a second? That is how close things are in the world of esports. When it's all equal cars, it really is incredible how close these cars get.
Yeah, and I'm sure Gunther Steiner is delighted to see one of his liveries up on the top, certainly in the front row, because Valentin Bouffet is doing exactly that right now. Just look at the deficit between him and Jarno Opmeer. It is absolutely minimal. So credit to him, and he's only 300ths of a second away from Jarno Opmeer as well. So plenty to be excited about if you're Valentin Bouffet right now. Further down as well, Jake Benham still in the fight too. The Silver Arrow is working together, and Bouffet is currently keeping them separated at the moment. And as he makes his way now around the final corner at Junchao, or the final time at Junchao on this warm-up lap, he's very shortly going to be crossing the line to commence his flying lap. We're going to look forward to seeing this one, folks. So I tell you what, don't throw away your tickets. This could go anywhere, as now Valentin Bouffet comes across the line as well. Shanaka Clay's out on the lap. I think we might join our man Shanaka Clay, who's just slightly up the road and making his way around the next left-hander out of Decidia del Lago at turn 5, heading down towards the Ferradura. Shanaka needs a big one now, doesn't he, Andy?
Oh, Bouffet's dropped it at turn 1, George, and he spun it, so he will not get his flying lap in at all. So that is a complete disaster for him, and he's just going to have to sit and wait and hope it's enough to stay where he is, unless he can get back round in time to get a lap in, George. So sorry about that, but we've got Bouffet off and round as Vallejo goes up into 3rd quickest. Wow.
Yeah, excellent visit from Ruben Vallejo. And not to mention this man who's going to come round now and set another lap himself. Shanaka Clay, of course, who has wowed spectators in the past, looking to do a service for Aston Martin. As now we see the green livery of the Aston now making its way across the line. Shanaka Clay, P2 there. Visit there from the Mercedes engine driver. I have to say, absolutely superb. Just popped in behind Jarno Opmeer. Incredible stuff.
Here comes Caraton, though. He's absolutely flying. He's looking good for pole position. Caraton, 1.5.1 from Alvaro Caraton, and the Spaniard delivers right at the end of the session. Can anyone beat it? We wait to see what Opmeer can do. It won't be this lap. He will, I think, have time to go again, but it's Alvaro Caraton with a late show to go quickest in qualifying. But here comes Opmeer about to start a flying lap. Jake Benham is all the way down in 7th now, and he's dropped it. Benham has dropped it, by the way, up at turn 6, I think, and Jake Benham won't be starting any higher than 7th. What a disaster for the youngster in the Mercedes.
Yeah, absolutely, and that leaves it all on...
Jarno's round as well.
Yeah, Jarno's round as well, absolutely right, Andy. I have to say, not a great visit for the Mercedes camp at all. He's relegated down into P2 thanks to Alvaro Caraton and late drama here in Brazil. Not very often do we see Jarno round on a circuit, but we have today, and currently he's sat a 10th of a second off Alvaro Caraton's pole time. This is unreal. The Battle of Brazil that we saw in the grand finale at PSGL is now being certainly it's been remastered. Alvaro Caraton on pole position currently. Jarno, though, in jeopardy if Ruben Vallejo or Felipe Sousa or Ruben Pedreño manage to land a really, really good solid lap.
It's not looking good for Sousa. He's only finding a few hundredths of a second in his latest lap, so I don't think it'll be enough from him. Here comes Sousa to the line, currently 14th. He only moves up to 11th place, so it all rests on what Ruben Pedreño can do in 6th quickest, and he is way down according to my timing screens, and that is that. Alvaro Caraton has put his car on pole position with that late show, a 1 minute 5.1. He kept his car pointing in the right direction. Both Mercedes went spinning, and it's Alvaro Caraton, the Spaniard, on pole here in Brazil.
He seems to love it here, Andy. He seems to absolutely love it here. Now, if you remember, folks, if you watched that finale at PSGL that last season, of course, Alvaro Caraton pulled off some stunning moves. There he is in the garage right now, and incredible stuff indeed. And he does take the fastest lap of qualifying with a 105.173, over a 10th of a second quicker than the Flying Dutchman Jarno Opmeer after he had that off. Shanaka Clay, a great visit up into P3. Valentin Bruffaert did hold on to a 4th place start now, so that's looking good for the German. Ruben Vallejo in P5 with his fellow countryman Ruben Pedreño in P6. Jakey Benham could not improve after he dropped the car, just like Opmeer did in that final stint. That's P7 for him. Oscar Marino P8 with Lenny Pepinta in P9. You've then got Risky in P10 with Felipe Sousa, the home countryman, home Grand Prix for Felipe Sousa, P11. Pro Golfer P12 with Hawk in P13. Yari Fitz in P14. Looking further down, names obviously littered across the circuit. We have Lewis Welch, Thomas Harvey, Smasher, and Chanakinchi, who went out very early on. But Andy, I don't think we half expected that finale. Jarno Opmeer very rarely getting it wrong. On this occasion he did, and that's effectively handed the reins to Alvaro Caraton at the very start of this race.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, George. I mean, it was almost like it was all building up to a big crescendo, and then we were left with, well, a bit of a damp squib, weren't we? And, that's what happens. The game punishes you this year. It really does. You end up touching the curbs and getting a little bit on the throttle too soon. We saw that at Spa last week with the number of retirements, didn't we? And there you go spinning. We had both Mercedes round, we had Bruffaert round as well. And that's it. The game bites this year, and the drivers will just need to try and get used to that. Because as you said moments ago, George, in the commentary in qualifying, how often do you see Opmeer facing the wrong way? Not very, but there you go. Went for a spin, just like so many others did at the end of that session. But Caraton, he got it right, fair play to him, got the lap time on the board, 105.1. He likes it here, and he's proved so again.
Yeah, definitely. And it just goes to show, we have this conversation, I feel, every week, but it cannot be untouched on. Naturally, now, new game, new handling model. It seems even the best now is starting to struggle. Jarno Opmeer, of course, like I said, very rarely round. one brush of those curves. I get the feeling, Andy, that especially the center S's, where of course you're so quick heading through the left and right, if you drop it or at least brush at least one segment of that curve, you're in deep trouble. You're in Spinala City. It is not the way you want to be. And certainly Jarno felt the full brunt of that, as did his teammate Jake Benham, who I would have thought would have been right up there as well, fighting for a top-end spot, because we saw it obviously last time out at Belgium. But I have to say, Andy, is there anyone that really stuck out for you? Because obviously the likes of Lenny Pepinta look quick. Valentin Bruffair, though, out of nowhere, he finds himself up in the top 5.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Bruffair. I really was, George. A great effort there. He could have done even better if it wasn't for that spin. So big shout out to him. Well done to Shinaka Clay. We knew he had the pace, but there was a bit of pressure on him, wasn't there? Because he never got the lap nailed initially. But with that pressure mounting, got the job done. Benham will be frustrated. He's not that far from pole, but spinning when you're down in 7th is not ideal, and winning from there is going to be very tough. But now we really need to get an eye in, George, for the tyre compound. So let's have a look. Top 10, as we know, all on softs. Who is it outside the top 10 that we're going to be looking for in this race? Sousa, mediums. Pro Golfer, mediums. Hawks, mediums. Fitz, Welsh and Harvey on hards. Smasher on the mediums. And Chanakinchi at the back on the hard compound tyre. So let's see which one of those can make things work on the alternate strategy. That's what I just love about this, the alternate strategy, and you can see people charging through, and even if they don't have the ultimate peaks, they can make it work. We've seen it last week with Thomas Harvey, we've seen it the week before with Smasher, and he nearly won the race, for goodness sake. So let's wait and see how it all pans out.
Yeah, definitely. I'd keep an eye on Thomas Harvey, of course. Seems to like an alternate strat, the hard tyres. He can master them, he can race them, and I'd certainly expect a very good performance out of Thomas Harvey. Tends to race better than he qualifies, so keep an eye on that man in the Red Bull, of course. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already, folks. I want to hear from you. Who do you think is going to win this Brazilian Grand Prix? Hit us up in the live chat, of course. It's going to be a very special occasion. 3rd social race here in the World Online Racing PC division. It's going to be absolutely sensational. There you can see Jarno Opmeer, despite the spin late in qualifying, still on the front row of the grid, alongside his esports compatriot Alvaro Caraton with Shinaka Clay just in behind. But watch out for Bruffair. This is going to be a tasty affair. As we wait for the lights, here we go. It's a slight delayed start here, folks. Keep it with us.
Yeah, I was going to say, Michael Massey, come on. Hurry up, Michael. Yeah, the race started finally.
Here we go. I can't see the lights, folks, but I'm sure we're about to put pedal to the metal. Engines are revving, and it is pedal to the metal. Go, 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 go. And instantly, Alvaro Caraton out extremely quick. But Jarno Opmeer looking to take the early dive down the inside, heading into the center S's. In behind as well, you've got Shinaka Clay still holding on to P3. Plenty of people having trouble staying in the lobby here, but in further behind, you can see there Jarno looking to get it done here on lap 1. Looks in on the inside, heading into the Decidia de Lago on the outset of turn 5 now. Still Alvaro Caraton leads, but Jarno Opmeer closely following in behind. Shinaka Clay and P3. The top 3 relatively unchained.
Yeah, they're unchanged, but it's a good start from Vallejo. He's got himself ahead of Bruffair and up into 4th position, but Jarno Opmeer with a bit between his teeth, looking to try and make that move nice and early on Alvaro Caraton. 36 laps ahead of the drivers, and it looks like they've all got through unscathed. Smasher did jump the start, and he has got a drive-through penalty, so that's going to be a sore one for him. And a long race ahead, but as they all funnel their way through Junsau for the first time out of 36, it is Caraton still in the lead as they now head up the hill. DRS not active yet, remember, but there will be plenty of slipstreaming and ERS usage in the early moments of this race.
It certainly will be. There's Ruben Vallejo, who had a cracking start indeed, managed to land his way up into P4. Or should I say Valentin Bruffair there having maybe a look. No, I think that might be a little timing tower glitch, but nevertheless it happens as they now whittle their way out to the center S's now, heading down the stretch at Retta Aposta, and there is the rear view from Ruben Vallejo's car. You can see there a very menacing looking Valentin Bruffair just in behind in the Haas as well. In behind Jake Benham. What a start from Jake Benham. He of course managing to get himself up from P7 on the grid now up into P6, so he has made a little bit of progress, but as they make their way now around the next right-hander, and certainly as things are all stemmed out now, still Alvaro Caraton leads. He's unfazed, unchanged. Jarno Opmeer in behind with Shinaka Clay closely in pursuit. No change in the top order.
Yeah, see Pro Golfer's been in the pits. He's just rejoined the track. Not sure if he sustained some damage out there. Lenny Pepinta, a big loser as well, right down to 16th and at the back of the main group. So I don't know what's happened to him on the soft tires. He was in the top 10, so it's not been a good start for those guys. But Alvaro Caraton continuing to lead. He's managing that gap at the minute with Ockmere right behind him. And of course, as everyone is well aware, the slipstream, the DRS, so powerful round here, impossible to break that toe. And Ockmere is already tucked up behind, and it's going to be a long, hard race. Let's see how the strategy pans out. Everything's going to be key regarding strategy, DRS management, and I'm sure there will be fireworks later on, as for the first time, the DRS is opened, and Jarno Ockmere can get that little bit closer to the back of Caraton, but not close enough to make a move. Places to overtake this corner here we're watching right now, and into turn 1, probably the best opportunities to make a move on this track.
Yep, Jarno Ockmere showing his early pace already with the fastest lap to boot here at the commencement of lap 3 of 36. DRS is of course open here in this Brazilian Grand Prix, in behind Shanaka Clay as well, around 3.5 tenths back from the Flying Dutchman. Ruben Vallejo as well, locked in behind it too, like literally getting himself right into the fray of things with Valentin Bruffair right on his tail fin too. In behind as well, you got Jake Benham, who I have to say still wowing the spectators there in the Mercedes. He's got an even split between him, Bruffair, and Ruben Pedreña right now, around half a second the deficit between all of them right now. DRS opens up now once again for Jarno Ockmere, including all the drivers that are littered through behind as well. Risky as well, looking all over the rear end of Ruben Pedreño, as now Valentin Bruffair showing that pace, sets the fastest lap already here in lap 4, and getting very close in behind Ruben Vallejo. And you get the feeling that it's only a matter of time before Bruffair unlocks all his potential here in this race. He looks absolutely stunning out on this track.
Yeah, he does. It would just be gutted that Vallejo got ahead of him at the start, but he certainly looks like the most racy out of that group at the moment, trying to make some progress. Benham right in behind them as well, but at the minute it's just a game of chess. Everyone just managing things, and if the opportunity comes to make the move, they will. Jarno Ockmere 2 tenths behind the race leader Caraton, and just tucking himself in there and just holding station for the moment on lap 4 out of 36. Going to be a cracking race. Just reading in the chat there, thank you for the updates, folks. Lenny Pepinter's wheel disconnected. That's the reason for his drop down to 16th place.
Yeah, absolutely not ideal at all for that man, and that means that Ferrari are actually cemented to the back of this classification. It's all gone sour for them. Of course, Lenny Pepinter was one of the interesting ones from qualifying, as now we watch them all hightail around the Arquibancadas now. In behind you can see there, Jarno Ockmere goes for an early move here, and Alvaro Caraton heads into turn 1 now, crosses the line in front of the Williams, and superb a transition for the lead. And the Mercedes takes the top end, with the Mercedes-powered Williams now taking up a P2 spot. You've got Shanaka Clay there in P3 as well. Interesting year from Jarno Ockmere. We did not see him do this last time. He's not messing about to Brazil this time, Andy.
Yeah, I think the opportunity was just there, and why not just take it? He was easily going to breeze by the time they got to the braking zone, and I just think that's how the esports drivers approach things at the minute. Fine margins, George. There's no point going side by side, risking damage into the corner and through the braking zone. If you can breeze by in a straight line, why not? Do it. There's no risk. And Ockmere just said, okay, thank you, I'll take the lead for now, and let's see what his pace is like. Let's see what the others do. Will Caraton drop into the clutches of Clay, or will he have the pace to stick with Ockmere? My gut feeling is he'll be able to stick with him, because these guys are just oh so evenly matched on pace. But saying that, the gap's already out to 6 tenths, and that's bigger than what it was between when they were swapped the other way around at the start of the race. So that's quite a telltale sign early on. But I'm sure when he gets the DRS open, Caraton will close that straight back up. But Bruffair is right on the back of Ruben Vallejo now. He lost the place at the start, and Bruffair has got the bit between his teeth. He was going to go to the inside. He switches to the outside. Bruffair into the centre S, can't get the move done, and Vallejo has it covered off, and he has to stay in 5th place for the moment. Through covered a solid they go, and down the straight is Bruffair now going to get the opportunity to attack on Vallejo. It doesn't look likely, and it's going to remain the way they were. Vallejo 4th, Bruffair 5th, as Louis Welsh gets a second time penalty. That's 8 seconds to his name already, George.
Yeah, a very interesting look there. Valentin Bruffair, of course, I got to say, he's looked very, very dangerous ever since the get-go, and the pace has been very impressive from the man in the Haas. And certainly if you can keep this up, you'll certainly go places, and I look forward to seeing what he can do this season, because of course he was a very, very focal point of last season as well, getting right in the mix for points, and I'd certainly imagine that he's got a lot more than points on his mind this coming season as well. There's Risky looking to try and get closer to Ruben Pedreño as well, as they make their way up towards Jun Chao yet again. And there you can see Ruben Pedreño just in front of him there. Jake Benham as well in front of him. Plenty of drivers strung out here across the track. Jarno Ockmere is starting to really push the delta now in between him and Alvaro Caraton. He's gone out further and further as Hawk now makes a move on Alfie Fitz as they make their way, oh not Alfie Fitz, sorry, Yari Fitz. They make their way down through towards turn 1, and Hawk there, Louis Welch takes a piece of him too as they make their way into the first corner, and it's going to be Louis Welch who moves up to P12. He's got a penalty. penalty, but he's still got Yari Fitz there, right on his right-hand side, who looks to try and make the move back yet again. As they do so, coming down towards the next left at Decidia Delago. No move can be made for Yari Fitz. He has to forfeit the position. Excellent show of pace there from Louis Welch. On the pad, it doesn't stop him.
Yeah, it's incredible that he's on the pad, isn't it? It's just absolutely mad how some of these drivers can race on the pad. Could you imagine him on the keyboard, George? That would be interesting to see as well. They probably still beat me. Quite easily in a race. But at the minute, Caraton closing it back up, George, to around 4/3/10 of a second. Jarno trying to stretch them out, string them out at the front. Not quite happening though.
Yeah, a little bit of drama at the back here, Andy. Hawk actually rear-ending his car a little bit slightly. It lost him a couple of positions. Thomas Harvey and Yari Fitz managing to capitalise, and Lewis Welch has managed to go through as well as another move's being made here between Chana Kinchi and Hawk as well. Excellent viewing here for all the public. Hawk has retired. As Risky also goes for a move this time on Ruben Pedreño. Gets the move done this time. Amazing stuff across this grid order. It's come alive here in Brazil, and it certainly has been a battle to say the least. Hawk has left the session. That is a retirement for McLaren. Not ideal at all, but I have to say he was looking like a sitting duck, just lost the end of his car, and that's the end of his race. But further at Risky, moving up to P7. What a way to kickstart your life here at WOR.
Yeah, nice stuff there from Risky. It's getting close at the front again. No sign of a safety car from that yellow flag. So it's as you were at the front. Lap 8 now, out of 36. Still Uppbeat from Caraton. He took that lead, of course, a couple of laps ago. If you're just joining us down the start-finish straight, Caraton not really interested in fighting it. No need to really at this stage of the Grand Prix. And they just funnel their way now into Shootout once again. It's still Uppbeat from Caraton and Shinaka Clay. You just feel it's just simmering in the pot at the front, George. Not much in the way of action at the front. Certainly plenty in the midfield. But these guys just biding their time. Let's see who's first to blink on strategy as Caraton closes in again on the back of Uppbeat. Is he going to go for the move into turn 1? No, he's just going to sit and wait it out for now. Let's have a little look then. Felipe Souza, he's the highest driver up at the minute in the field that's on the alternate strategy. He's on the medium tyre, 2 seconds off Marino in 10th position. So let's keep an eye on those guys later on and how the strategy pans out.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see there Valentin Brufer as well, once again getting close to the rear wing of Ruben Vallejo as well. He's looked so tenacious out there on track, and he's still got the pace. I've got to say, I find it impressive anyway, the fact that these guys can race nose to tail at a track such as Brazil, where the cornering, you've got to be so precise, so educated in the way that you use the throttle and obviously the brake pedal as well. You've got to hit it with absolute accuracy and superb patience, but just look at them, literally. You can just see the nose cone on Ruben Vallejo literally grazing the rear wing of Shinaka Clay as they now make their way around Jun Chao yet again. Still Uppbeat on top, closely followed by Alvaro Caraton. Half a second the deficit between the pair now. In behind Shinaka Clay for Aston Martin, closing the gap himself as they make their way down the stretch yet again. Can Shinaka Clay open the door here as they make their way down towards turn 1? No, he does not opt for a move, but look how close the top 3 are, literally close together. So close as they come through the center S's. It's absolutely sensational. What about a pace that we have here at the top?
Yeah, just having a little look at the battery at the minute. Jarno Uppbeat down in the mid-60s here and deploying that battery at the minute just to stay ahead of these guys at the minute then. They just cannot overtake at the minute. It's so difficult when everyone's got the DRS. It makes it so tough as Shinaka Clay is getting very, very close to the back of Alvaro Caraton, but not close enough to make the move. And that's the thing though, if you're Shinaka Clay, you don't really want to make that move, because if you do, you run the risk of letting Uppbeat get a full second clear. So, you know, that's why the drivers are quite happy to just sit there at the minute. If he goes attacking Caraton, that gives Jarno Uppbeat the chance to get the 1 second gap, and then the chance of victory is gone for everyone. It's just a waiting game at the minute to see how things pan out for the second half of the race, and that's when they'll really go attacking. But it's quite interesting, Jarno Uppbeat quite keen to deploy the ERS down the straight with Caraton behind him, but, you know, he's still saving the battery up quite well, George, and Caraton not quite close enough to go for a move.
Yeah, that's what that tells me, is that Uppbeat is utilising it mainly on the home straight, maybe not using it throughout the other parts of this circuit as they now round into the centre S's. So Jarno Uppbeat very conservatively using and certainly using his brain or his membrane certainly to try and manage the ERS exceptionally well, just to stay ahead of Alvaro Caraton. Shinaka Clay looking to try maybe gamble in this exchange as they now head into the next left at Decidia Delago, but as they do make their way out of it, you can see that the Aston Martin just follow following in behind, as you quite rightly say, Andy, just waiting for the opportune moment. I sort of think that maybe a lot of these drivers like to opt to take the strategy first, wait and see what the pit stops bring, and then after they make those stops, all bets are off. That is when you start pushing, of course, because there's no other pit stop phase, at least not a planned pit stop phase, so you need to try and execute on track when Alvaro Carreton goes wide there, Andy, looking a little bit tentative there.
Yeah, he was looking very, very tentative, and I actually think Shinaka Clay will go for it this time round if he's close enough down the straight. He won't want to be battling into the corner because that will lose them both time, but if he can get it done down the straight, he will do that. So here we go then, let's see what happens as they make their way down that start-finish straight now, and Shinaka Clay in the Aston Martin is gaining and gaining, but look, Carreton as well, reeling in Ottmere even from 7/10 back, and it's just back to a status quo once again, and there you were, the mistake from Carreton doesn't go punished because the ERS and slipstream and DRS is just so powerful, and it's back to the way they were.
Yeah, absolutely. And Valentin Bruffair also looking very tasty. Has a little look there on the inside of Ruben Vallejo as well. The Spaniard looking, certainly has done a tremendous job as we've lost Lewis Welch as well. The Alpha Tauri is out of this race too. So Lewis Welch now out of this Grand Prix here in Brazil. Chernikinchi moving up into P12. Further back there, Thomas Harvey has to forfeit the position down into P13. Lenny Papinta in behind them now, gaining on the softs. But I have to say, what a little bit of drama we've just had. Certainly two drivers now out of this Brazilian Grand Prix, and look at Jake Benham now getting right on the tail of Valentin Bruffair, and you get the feeling that maybe Bruffair may have used up all his maybe more of his tyre life there, trying to chase down on Ruben Vallejo. Ruben Vallejo losing a little bit of shape there on the exit of Junchao as they now brace their way around the next left-hander past the Archibancaris now once again, and this time Bruffair might fancy his chances, moves it on the inside. No, he has a little look heading into the centre S. No move could be made. Once again he's left frustrated, but also Vallejo looks like he's moving in on Shinaka Clay as well, Andy.
Yeah, he does. It's all closing up now. We can't be far away from a pit stop, can we? I'm not too sure what the strategy is. Will they try and eke this out and onto the mediums? Will they try and go for the hards? You just wonder if you're someone like Jake Benham who feels maybe frustrated that he should be higher up in the order with a status quo like this where you just can't overtake. Will he maybe try an aggressive strategy, go for the undercut and try and pull the pin on all these drivers and go onto the harder compound? It's going to be interesting to see if anyone does that in the coming laps. We are now at lap 13 then, and it's now beyond 1/3 race distance, so will we see any pit stops soon as Vallejo gets awfully close to running into the back of Shinaka Clay and damaging his wing, but he doesn't and gets away with it as Ottmere now threatens to stretch the gap out to nearly a second. 8/10 now. Has he hit the throttle, and is he now pushing to try and get away from Carreton?
Well, that puts Alvaro Carreton in great danger now because Shinaka Clay has been looking all over the rear of that Williams. He has wondered, I bet, in his right mind, as we now see Bruffair and Oscar Marino come into box early on. So maybe Bruffair has used up a lot of that tyre life, and they've opted for the hard tyres, Andy, have they?
Well, I certainly saw the McLaren go for it. What's Bruffair going for? Is it hard? Yes, it is hard. So there you go then. Said it a moment ago. Will anyone try this slightly more aggressive strategy? It looks like they will. And then again, I don't know the condition of the soft tyres at the minute. Can these guys actually stretch out and go to the mediums, or is this just a genuine undercut onto the hard tyre that everyone will be doing anyway? Let's wait and see. So Bruffair rejoins the track. Is he in clean air? Not really. He's got 1.5 seconds to Papinter just in front. So let's see how it works out. Will this start a chain reaction for everyone else then, as Bruffair and Marino make their stops? Will they be mediums at the front? Will they stretch it out longer, or will it be hard tyres this lap? Let's wait and see. This is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, let's see if they choose the box. Will there be a change at the top end? Jarno Ottmere now making his way around the next left-hander as they round their way through the final couple of bends now. Jarno Ottmere not opting to box. He's staying out. Further down, Alvaro Carreton follows the Dutchman. In comes now, I believe, Shinaka Clay's through there. We can see Ruben Vallejo there in P4 as well. No, he's down. He's in the pits as well. Vallejo Risky's in. Jake Benham has opted to box 2. So now you can see further down, Shinaka Clay has made the move. Alvaro Carreton looking for redemption here, heading into Decidia Del Lago. Dives in on the inside now, the Williams. And certainly, what a move there. The Apex Predator strikes this time into Decidia Del Lago and lands it here at one of his favourite tracks. Alvaro Carreton back on form in rude health into P2.
It's a brilliant move, George, it really is, but what it's done is allowed Jarno Opmeer to stretch the gap out to 1.5 seconds. Is this a big moment in this Grand Prix that could hand the initiative to Jarno Opmeer? Perhaps it will. Massive moment there. Shanaka Clay, the only reason he went for it on Caraton is because the gap went to a second between Caraton and Opmeer. Clay clearly believing that Caraton wouldn't have the pace to stick with him, and he had to try and change the course of this race. He went for the move, he made it work, but Caraton, as you saw, came diving straight back through. And now, are we going to see pit stops here? Yes, we are. Caraton and Clay into the pits, and it's going to be a race between the two mechanics of Williams and Aston Martin. Who can get the job done quicker?
Yeah, absolutely. There you can see further back as well that Felipe Sousa has gone through. So is Ruben Pedreño there staying out. Of course, Felipe Sousa on the medium tyre. Looking very good, actually, Felipe Sousa. If he's taken the longer strategy, he could be in line for a potential podium. We'll have to wait and see. Jarno Opmeer, though, on his own. Plenty of track space in the clear. He can focus on now, trying to really hammer home some positive lap delta upon those cars behind him. Have we got some drama, Andy?
Yeah, we do. Caraton and Clay behind Vallejo and Bruffer. So the undercut has worked for Ruben Vallejo and Valentin Bruffer. They've got ahead of Caraton and Clay. And you would also think that would be a net lead of the race for Vallejo if Jarno Opmeer stays out and tries to stretch the stint out. This is going to be very interesting. Will Opmeer be on in this lap? Interestingly, Vallejo went for the medium tyre, even with that undercut on Caraton and Benham. So that's very interesting. Does that now make him a favourite for this Grand Prix? Because Bruffer is now behind Vallejo and on slower tyres. Wow. And also, Bruffer has got himself in between Caraton and Vallejo. So this is great news for Ruben Vallejo. As Opmeer is in the pits now, will Vallejo be ahead or behind?
Yeah, I'm starting to wonder now whether Felipe Sousa can utilise an overcut here. He could really go to town on these medium tyres as Opmeer is now in the pit lane. As we're now looking further down as well, Valentin Bruffer, I'm sort of looking at the way the cogs are turning here, Andy. Bruffer, of course, his pace was so impressive at the start, and he manages to land briefly a fastest lap before Risky comes along on the hard tyres. His pace is extraordinary. Here comes Opmeer now, as they now go wheel to wheel. There's Ruben Vallejo looking to certainly apply some form of advantage, but no, Opmeer, he's done it. That additional couple of laps has worked out for the Flying Dutchman, and he's flown up into P1. Caraton knows he's got to go for it here, tries to find a way past Valentin Bruffer, goes for a diving manoeuvre here this time, but Bruffer can't stop him. The Apex Predator strikes again. Alvaro Caraton up into P6.
Excellent stuff from Caraton again, but I've got to say, George, that is an absolutely outstanding first stint from Jarno Opmeer. It is quite literally faultless, George. He managed to get the gap out above a second, first of all, and then, despite all the undercuts happening around him, he gets into the pits, rejoins the track after pitting later, and still has got the net lead of the Grand Prix, and now has fresher tyres. It's going to be hard to see anyone stopping him today from here, but here comes Ruben Pedreño, Ruben Vallejo getting even closer, but not close enough to make the move. But what a stint that was from Jarno Opmeer, and that is why he is the F1 Esports World Champion. So impressive, George.
Yeah, and drama as well. Shanaka Clay out of the race as well. He's retired. We've lost the Aston Martin, but once again, Ruben Vallejo getting so close to the rear end of the Flying Dutchman. He seems to have come alive, Vallejo. Come alive in the Alpine, and I'll be delighted to see that after what happened to Esteban Ocon today, taking his first win in Formula One. Can Ruben Vallejo topple the Flying Dutchman and get himself a P1 of his own? We'll have to wait and see. Of course, it's not over yet. Don't forget, remember, Thomas Harvey, who's currently on the hard tyres. He hasn't boxed yet, but he will be able to finish quick. Should he take those hard tyres deeper into the race, he could effectively finish on the soft tyre and be a huge weapon at the end of this race. Further up as well, Felipe Sousa also taking a longer stint on his medium tyres. When he boxes, what will he choose to do? Chana Kinchi still in this race as well. Plenty of options out across this track, and that is why we love Brazil. As there Vallejo now makes his way towards turn one. A little look down the inside of Jarno Opmeer, but nothing could be done about it. But I just want to stop and appreciate Valentin Bruffer as well, Andy. He has been so quick here today, despite Alvaro Caraton pipping him earlier on in the latter stint. He has now shown a tremendous turn of foot, despite being on hard tyres, managed to briefly land a fastest lap, and you could sort of understand his method of thinking, taking that early pit stop to go onto the hard tyres, because he knew he had the pace and he could utilise it on the hards as well, and that is why he is battling with the best of them here in this race.
It was a good strategy. I think it was worth the gamble, but I just don't think it's paid off the way we would have hoped. I've said it once, I just cannot get over how good the end of that stint was from Uppbeat. It's outrageous. How has he still got the lead of the race? How is he still the net leader? Pitted so many laps later, and he's still net leader. It's unbelievable, that stint. Given how close these drivers are on pace, it must have been a phenomenal stint. But anyway, I mean, we spoke about Sousa, Harvey and Akinci on the alternate strategy. The pace is so relentless out front. I just don't think they're going to be able to get that far up the order. I really don't, unlike the last couple of races. But I could be eating my words quite easily as Jake Benham has sped into the pit lane. And wow, it's not been a good afternoon for him, has it?
No, it has not been the afternoon we'd expect from Jake Benham, as we're now watching Ruben Vallejo once again trying to gain, and Thomas Harvey is actually, I think he's had an issue as well, because looking further up the field, he's actually lost out to Chan Akinci. So Chan Akinci finding a little bit of time here, and they're getting closer to Felipe Sousa. They brought it right down into the midst of 3.1 seconds. That is a whole second and a half gain from Chan Akinci and Thomas Harvey on Felipe Sousa, and you have to wonder whether they're working together here, feeding each other DRS to get closer to the man who's currently sitting in P1. Further back though, the battle still rages on between Vallejo and Uppbeat as they make their way around the next left-hander. It's all starting to kick off here, folks. Only 16 laps remain, and now that the pit stops have been had, all bets are off, folks. Moves are plenty, as now we watch Ruben Vallejo now out of the Archibald Cardis, making his way past the paddock shortly. Will he choose to upend the Dutchman? He'll have DRS, move down the inside, he opens the door. Vallejo does not go for it this time. Uppbeat holds on, at least for the time being. The Mercedes owns net P1 for now. Ruben Vallejo, though, tremendous drive, currently in behind the Dutchman.
He's nailed the strategy perfectly, George. He has. In-lap, out-lap must have been superb to make it work. Just not enough to topple Uppbeat just yet, but he's doing the right things, George. Just tucking himself in behind Uppbeat, because there's a very good chance these guys will get onto the back of the leading trio before they make the pit stops, and that's what Vallejo wants. He wants to be right there with Uppbeat, and if Uppbeat's forced to go the long way round on Harvey or the long way round on Akinci, Vallejo just wants to be there to pounce and make sure he gets it done. We've seen it so many times. You know, they're not racing against Harvey and Akinci, but Uppbeat can't afford to take the risk. If you get stuck on the outside against one of these slower cars on different strategies, Vallejo will be there to pounce. So you need to be very, very streetwise. And if Akinci and Harvey are going on to a set of softs, they won't be into the pits anytime soon. If they're going on to mediums, they might just clear out of Jarno's way in time. Interesting few laps ahead as we now see them go down the straight. And Vallejo is tucked right up behind Jarno Uppbeat now. And Vallejo goes to the inside. Is he this time going to take the net lead of the Grand Prix? Vallejo's up the inside. And Vallejo is now ahead of Jarno Uppbeat and moves through to try and begin the charge to victory. Can he do it? Will Uppbeat come back as they go down the straight? Doesn't look likely. Vallejo has now got the net lead of this race.
Yeah, and he crucially had DRS after that manoeuvre as well, Andy, so that gave him a little bit of breathing space against the Dutchman, who could have fought back heading down the Retta Aposta. So excellent, a little bit of opportunistic reaction there from Ruben Vallejo. He timed it to perfection. I have to say, what a drive here from the Spaniard. He has used not only his wits, his technical ability, his pace, it's all come together here in Brazil, and he's taking the Dutchman all the way to the end here. We're currently looking at 14 laps remaining here at Interlagos, here at the Autodromo Carlos Pace, and I have to say, the way things are planned out now at Sao Paulo, we're now watching Ruben Vallejo pass the Yankee Bancadas. He won't have DRS this time, but Jarno Uppbeat will. The Flying Dutchman may choose to go for another move as they head down the straight now past the paddock. The Mercedes looking to apply his usual trade. Jarno Uppbeat, will he go for it? No, stops him by Ruben Vallejo. I have to say, incredible stuff by Ruben, though. He's driving a superb race. Thomas Harvey, though, now leads.
Yeah, good news for Vallejo that those two have pitted. Very good news, because then he's now the lead car and he doesn't have to worry about getting stuck on the outside against cars he's not racing. Will we see Harvey in the pits at the end of this lap? I think there's a very good chance we might. So let's see if it's going to be a clear road ahead for Ruben Vallejo at the end of this lap. As they all close up, it's Vallejo, Uppbeat and Caraton and even Ruffer all in a group together fighting for this victory this afternoon. We're on lap 23 now out of 36 and things are getting very, very interesting.
Yeah, we've lost a 5th driver as well. Yari Fitz out of the race. So that's another DNF. He was on 6-lap all mediums. It all came to a crushing end, though, for that man in the Alpine. And now he's out of this Grand Prix. And I have to say, what a tremendous effort, though, by his teammate Ruben Vallejo, who's trying his damnedest to keep the Dutchman behind him here. But Jarno Opmeer has other options on the table. He moves his Mercedes now around past the paddock. It's oh so easy. It's oh so simple. The Flying Dutchman down the inside takes P1 now with Thomas Harvey in the pit lane. Superb stuff now as they cascade through the center S's around the next left now, heading down through the Retro Aposta. Mercedes on top yet again. The Dutchman electrifying here at the Autodromo Carlos Pace.
Yeah, again, Vallejo not willing to fight it. They're just playing cat and mouse at the minute, and it's just going to wait until the final couple of laps, and then we really will see proper battling through the corners and everything. I'm sure we will. But it's Opmeer once again back in the lead of this Grand Prix. Vallejo, Caraton, and Brufer all right there, and in with a shout as well as Harvey picks up a 3-second time penalty, and that will seriously affect his attempts to try and charge back through the field. But at the minute, things looking very good for any one of the front 4. Who will do it? And the other question is, George, will the medium tyres die off and hand the advantage back to Brufer? That's an interesting point too. We'll need to wait and see.
Yeah, we certainly will. And I'm just looking at Brufer now, funny enough, and I was looking into that, Andy, just as you were saying it. Valentin Brufer on the hard tyres, remember, he could take those tyres longer into this race. So, you know, we'll have to wait and see what happens here, because obviously, I mean, Jarno, though, is very good at nurturing the tyres. There's no doubt about that. He's an expert at it. He knows what he's doing. In behind Ruben Vallejo, I'm sure will push him all the way, but nevertheless, he's an incredible, articulate man when it comes to tyre preservation as they make their way now down through Retro Aposta into Decidio de Lago, and it's going to take all the Dutchman's efforts, all his strain, all his ability to keep these 3 behind, should I say, because Vallejo is certainly not someone to be trifled with on his best day, or on his worst day even, and Alvaro Caraton is also a tenacious character that Williams have placed a large amount of faith in, and I know without a shadow of a doubt that Caraton has got the ability to beat the Dutchman, and I know that Jarno knows that too. So plenty of cards stacked on the table here, and Valentin Brufer, what a race this man has had. Haas would be delighted.
Oh, it's been a fantastic race from Valentin Brufer, and I like this strategy. I like this little different approach from him by pitting that little bit earlier, trying to gain a few places. Didn't quite work out the way he would have liked, but now he's now right in there with this group and has an opportunity, if the tyres die out on the mediums, to try and win this race. I like it. Something different, rolling the dice, and he's looking good. I've got to say, George, Caraton, I don't want to be too harsh, but I do feel like he's struggling a little bit for pace against the likes of Opmeer and Vallejo today. He's only just sticking now within DRS territory of Vallejo, a bit like he was at the end of the stint against Opmeer. So Caraton maybe struggling that little bit, and Brufer can probably smell blood if that gap was above 1 second to Vallejo.
Yeah, definitely. Ruben Pedreño, though, coming into the center S, is overtaking Oscar Marino for that P5 spot. So Ruben Pedreño on a push too. Also for Williams. So Williams are really up in the fight. If we were talking points today, Williams would be in a very, very good position. Looking for the down as well. Risky marking his first appearance here in WOR with a P7 so far, but he's not far behind. And remember, the 2 drivers ahead of him have got time penalties. So Risky, if he plays his cards right, could land himself a very, very good P5 here if he keeps this up. So as things now are starting to come into the fray, Oscar Marino on what you would imagine the worst tyre or the slower tyre out of the pair of them, though that's a lot is left to be said, certainly, as we now make our way through the latter point of this Grand Prix. Looking further up, Ruben Vallejo getting close as well to Jarno Opmeer, 0.2 of a second the deficit as they make their way through Sector 1, but I have to say, answers on a postcard, folks. I don't know who's going to win this. It's literally all to play for in the top 4.
Yeah, it is all to play for, George. It really is, and I'm just really interested to see what Brufer can do on that hard tyre. I want to see if he can make it work, as Vallejo is getting really close now to the back of Jarno Opmeer, and as the laps tick by, things are going to start getting more interesting. Like, elbows are going to get out, there's going to be more risks taken, and I'm looking forward to it. Lap 27 now, out of 36, and it's starting to get pretty tasty in the front few places. How's Sousa getting on the soft tyre? He's the furthest up on that alternate strategy, currently 8th in the order. He's 2.3 off the back of Risky, and Marino and Pedreño are in a trio as well, so he should clear those guys. Getting up to this group will be a tall order though, because the pace out front has been searingly quick from Opmeer and Vallejo and Caraton and Brufer.
Yeah, it certainly has been very searingly quick, and now Vallejo pounding his way through the Archibancadas, can see the Flying Dutchman ahead of him yet again. Will he opt for another move here? Is he going to patiently sit behind, maybe recharge some of that ERS for a new assault later on? He knows that he has a window of opportunity. The Dutchman will always be vulnerable while he doesn't have DRS. It might be the best to sit in behind him here and utilize it while you've got it. Has a little nose just to let Uppbeat know that he's behind him there. Very clever stuff from Ruben Vallejo. Almost mind games, the sort of stuff you would see on a Formula 1 race weekend, but certainly it has a presence here in esports as much as it does in the real world of Formula 1, as we're now watching Ruben Vallejo now round the next right here at Pico de Pato, heading around the Marullo now, and there's the Alpine, dead set in behind the Mercedes, of course, round in the next right, and soon as they do so, this time they take Pico de Pato, I do apologise, round the Marullo once again, here at turn 12, very shortly they'll take Junchao now, but Jarno Opmeer still holding on with him behind the Alpine of Ruben Vallejo. Will he opt for a move here? This time heading into lap 29 of 36. It's all to play for him behind as well. Brufair getting very close to Caraton as they round their way past the paddock down towards the center S's. Opens the door to says Ruben Vallejo. No move made just yet. He's just making Opmeer think. And I have to say that's what you've got to do. You've got to apply every essence of racing spirit in this race to even stand a chance of taking a victory.
Yeah, I'm just reading the ERS at the minute, George. Jarno down in at the high 20s on percentage, Vallejo up in the 50s, so getting a little bit vulnerable here. Opmeer is going to have to try and manage this ERS a little bit better, because he doesn't want to be on the last couple of laps of the race with very little to defend with and fight back against if Vallejo gets through, so he needs to be careful. Interestingly, it's Caraton out of the four who's got nearly 90% of his battery, so he's saving it all up. Ready for a late race charge. Brufair down in the 30s as well. So is it all about Caraton here? Just playing the long game? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a clever game played by Caraton. Certainly, if he can apply it now with only 7 laps left, or we'll be getting into 6-lap territory now as we're now watching them hightail out of Junchao. Further down as well, there's a big battle going on for P5. Oscar Marino and Risky going to town with Felipe Sousa, who's managed to join them on the soft tyres, though movements could be made here at the top as we now watch them all cascade to the center S's. In behind, you can now see them as now they do. Risky, big challenge by Felipe Sousa, and Sony Risky though doing the business here, holding on in the Alfa Romeo, doing all he can to hold off the approach from Felipe Sousa, who dives in on the inside. Oh my word, they got so close. It was oh so close, but oh so easy for Risky, but he makes a mistake on the outset of the center S's. The Raging Bull down the outside here, Felipe Sousa in his home track here at Interlagos. No, he cannot get through. He still challenges wheel to wheel. The Red Bull strikes, takes P7 at least for now, but Risky's not done yet. It's a risky business. Is it going to be a risky business for this man? They enter the next right-hander on the medium tyres, the Alfa Romeo. Great bit of racing, sensational stuff. What defending? Risky takes a risky line. He holds on to P7 and dispatches Felipe Sousa.
I think he is Fernando Alonso. I mean, it's unbelievable. Just like Alonso this afternoon. Incredible stuff from Risky, who's on 14-lap old medium tyres, holding back Felipe Sousa, the hometown hero. It's absolutely excellent stuff, but you feel...
Here he comes, Vallejo down the inside, takes P1 here, heading into the center S's. The Alpine has done exactly what it's done today in Hungary. It's now on top spot. Ruben Vallejo, the man who has challenged many in the past, has now brought the sword out on Jarno Opmeer, and this is really going to change things up now, because Caraton, with all his ERS, can now land a blow on the Dutchman, maybe save a little bit then for Ruben Vallejo. That could be the story. Maybe Ruben Vallejo wants to try and put a stumbling block in between him and Jarno Opmeer, effectively open the door up for Caraton to challenge. It would make Vallejo's race that much easier, but we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, nothing's easier at this game, Andy.
I don't know, George. I feel like Vallejo might have went for that move a little bit early. Played his cards too soon. I think if he just sat there behind Opmeer and just waited a little bit later, I think he might have had Opmeer covered. But now the roles will switch. Opmeer can now charge the battery up, and it's Vallejo that might start to drain it. But now Vallejo's got up 90-odd%, and he's trying to break away. Opmeer in the 60s at the minute, but here comes Opmeer gaining again. DRS open, not really using the battery, but he's closing in. Oh, Caraton, I didn't even see him. Down the inside he goes. Caraton on Uppbeat. Uppbeat covers it off. Oh, wow, that was very, very close. And Vallejo will be rubbing his hands together if these two keep battling. Down the retroposta we go. Caraton, down the outside he goes. He's got the slipstream from Vallejo in front. Round the outside he goes. Absolutely brilliant stuff from Caraton. He saved the battery up, waited for his moment, and the Spaniard pounced. And Demochiano Uppbeat down into third place. Excellent stuff. Great patience from Caraton, and he finally pounces, and it's a Spanish 1-2 in Brazil.
Yes, the Apex Predator strikes this time into P2. It worked exactly the way that Ruben Vallejo, I think, planned. He wanted to put a little bit of jeopardy into the race of Jarno Uppbeat, and he worked it to perfection, worked his way around the outside. Caraton, I had visions of PSGL last season at Grand Finale where Caraton took a double overtake around the center S's. It was almost exactly like it happened there. Absolutely sensational from the man in the Williams, and once again he's wowed the spectators. Jarno Uppbeat now has got to put his best racing boots on. He's got to try and attack now, certainly by any means necessary, if he wants to take P1 here today. Can he do it, Andy?
Well, he's going to have to get his work cut out now. He's only got 3.5 laps to clear 2 cars, and they're both very, very quick. If Uppbeat can do it from here, it will be some effort. His first stint was absolutely sensational. I didn't think anyone could beat him today, but what a second half of the race from Vallejo, and now Caraton with this late charge. And can he deny Vallejo in the closing laps of this Grand Prix? It's going to be a grandstand finish. What about Bruffer? Don't forget him. He's on the hard tyre. The mediums will be starting to struggle. Are we now at the stage where the hards are the better tyre, the better race tyre at this stage of the Grand Prix? We cannot discount him either. What a fantastic closing few laps we're going to have here to this Grand Prix. It's Vallejo, Caraton and Uppbeat, and Bruffer right in there as well, ready to challenge as they make their way up the hill to start lap 34. And they will have 3 laps to go when they cross the line this time by.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's getting really, really tight now, coming towards the end of this Grand Prix, and behind you can see Alvaro Caraton. Maybe he'll go for a move, maybe not. He'll save the RS, I think, and leave a one last assault on the final lap. His main concern is, of course, the Flying Dutchman. It's never over until it's over as they come down now towards the Retroposta, down this long straight now. Still, they're separated by around a tenth, 3 tenths, 2 tenths. It doesn't matter, they're so close, nose to tail. It never changes here at World Online Racing. The battling has been sensational, but as they round their way round the final corner, answers in the live chat, folks. I want to hear from you. Who's going to win the Brazilian Grand Prix?
You've got absolutely no idea, George. I would flip a coin, but there's 4 cars to pick from, not 2. It's going to be absolutely incredible, this. By the way, somehow Risky is still holding off the 3 Chargers on the soft tyre. How is he doing that? But never mind that for now. It's all happening at the front of this Grand Prix. What about this time then? As we are now about to go to 2 laps to go. It's Vallejo in the lead, and I must stress to you, Vallejo still has 80% of his battery. And not only that, he's getting DRS off Pro Golfer as he laps him. So a big gain there, a big helping hand now for Ruben Vallejo as we start the penultimate lap of this Brazilian Grand Prix. And what a race it's been up till now. It's just been simmering and now beginning to boil over in the pot. How well the final couple of laps go. If I had to pick George, I'm going Vallejo. I think he's managed his ERS sensationally well, and I think he's got enough in the pocket to cover this off.
He's outwitted them, Andy. He's outwitted them. This is absolutely incredible. He's utilised all his smarts here in this race. And Thomas Harvey has now joined the DNFs. He is out of the race as well. We've lost a Red Bull. And that's going to join the DNF list. That's a real sad, crying shame. Thomas Harvey, one of the ones we were going to look out for on the alternate strap. But his race has just gone a little bit sour towards the end here. But I have to say, Vallejo, what a visit here today, folks. As we're now rounding the next left, heading up towards Junchao. What a well-executed performance here from that man in the Alpine as they round Junchao this time. Jarno Uppbeat might well get a move done here. It's getting so close. It's now or never for the Dutchman. He will take a look at the Sophia rear wing of Alvaro Caraton's Williams. Takes the outside line. Alvaro Caraton could see him right in his visor as they come down now, wheel to wheel, cascading through that section. Wowee! Caraton with the defensive, absolutely sensational effort, keeps the Dutchman back, but only for now.
Yeah, Vallejo should be safe now. Surely you would think he would be safe. It's all about Uppbeat against Caraton. Vallejo still holding that lead. He'll just charge that battery up if he can for the final part of the lap. But Uppbeat saved absolutely everything for a late assault. He's going to try the outside up the hill. No way through there. Caraton makes his Williams as wide as possible. And as things stand, it looks like it's going to work out for Ruben Vallejo. Jarno Uppbeat trying the outside and inside in every single corner in the closing few moments of this race. Now round the outside at the top of the hill. Can he get through? No, he can't. He squeezed right out onto the curb. Somehow finds a route down the inside. Oh, no. Unbelievable. And he's round. Round goes Uppbeat into a spin. It was all or nothing. He goes for a spin and drops right down the order. What a disaster for Jarno Uppbeat. But what a performance from Ruben Vallejo, who comes up to the line now. It's been a masterclass from him in strategy, and he wins the Brazilian Grand Prix. What a performance that was, George.
I have to say, the racing never stopped. Uppbeat spins just before Jun Chao, and that allows Ruben Vallejo to take his win here in, well, his very first win in the WOR, a social race event 3. Sensational stuff, and certainly Caraton and Uppbeat were leaving it all on the track, getting it so close around Jun Chao, but he held him off. The tenacity, the ability of Ruben Vallejo basically won him that, well, got him that P1 spot in this race. Sensational drive, an intelligent drive, an intelligent performance. I think that is certainly the overview of his race here today, and he will take about Alpine Taste Gold for the second time today in Formula 1, and this man is the man that's going to be celebrating. Ruben Vallejo, incredible drive. Alvaro Caraton with a P2 after that really incredible battle with Jarno Uppbeat, and look at that in behind, Valentin Bruffair, a fairy tale finish after an exceptional qualifying effort. He will take P3. But what an exceptional race. The battles were sensational. Ruben Vallejo confirmed your winner. Caraton in second place. It's double Spaniard in Ps 1 and 2 with the German Valentin Bruffair in P3. Jarno Uppbeat comes home in P4 after a dramatic grand finale. Risky as well. First visit to WOR takes P5. What a performance from that man in the Alfa Romeo all the way from P10. Felipe Souza, he also gains into P6 in his home race. Oscar Marino P7 with Ruben Pedreño P8. Chana Kinchi P9 with Jake Benham in P10. Wasn't the best race today for the other Mercedes. Smasher in P11. Sam McBride with Thomas Harvey in P12. Pro Golfer in P13. And we lost Yari Fitz. He was one of the final losers in that exchange. But Andy, wowee, it never stops blowing our minds. Today Vallejo took it. What a way to do it, though. Incredible fashion to win a race like that.
Brilliant, George. It was. I saw the first stint, and my mind was telling me Uppbeat's got this sewed up. I mean, Uppbeat's first stint was that good. I was that impressed. I was taken aback, George. You know, he did the overcut, came out and expected him to lose places, came back out in front of them all, had fresher tyres, but Vallejo just dug in, pitted early, kept himself in the game, tucked up behind Uppbeat, waited for the opportune moment. I thought it was a bit early. I was wrong. I'm eating my words. He nailed it at the exact moment when Uppbeat was struggling a bit with ERS. That gave Caraton the impetus to then go and attack as well, and as soon as that happened, Vallejo was free and able to go on and win the race. A really clever strategical play from Vallejo with that early pit stop to set him up to put him in position, and then after that just nailing it at the right moment at the right time to make the pass and go on and win the race. Crucial stuff. Very impressive, George. Great management.
Yeah, it was tremendous. I mean, I have to say, Vallejo has always been up there and fighting. He's always battled for points, and he was, I would often say, the bridesmaid, but never the bride last season. But it almost seems today that we're seeing a lot of the drivers that were perhaps characterised as that last season sort of really coming through now. Is this the next generation that we're starting to see come through and win races here? Are we going to be seeing a twist at the top end? Could we be seeing the new blood on the Formula 1 game really starting to take off now?
It certainly looks like that, George. There's names popping out from everywhere that a lot of people wouldn't at first have maybe been aware of or known of, and it's great to see. So Jarno Uppbeat, household name, F1 Esports champion against this grid, and he couldn't win tonight because they're that strong. These youngsters coming through, it's so impressive, and Yeah, brilliant stuff. It wasn't Benham's night tonight, but you know, you're young, you're inexperienced. You will have good nights, you will have bad nights. It's all about finding that consistency. And even Ottmere himself had a bad night the other night in PSGL, didn't he? And tonight was unable to win, even though he had that great first stint. So it's going to be so close, whether it's PSGL, whether it's WOR, whether it's F1 Esports. I'm buzzing, George. It's brilliant. It's so tight, so close, fine margins, nailing your strategy, just nailing everything. It's just going to be so tricky, and it's just so unpredictable, and that's why everyone tunes in to watch it, and that's why he's blowing up at the minute. It's crazy stuff.
Yeah, you'll only see this type of driver variation here at WOR. You won't see it anywhere else, folks. Certainly, it's absolutely tremendous. And seeing the likes of Vallejo turn up the heat and actually bring himself and take the world by storm with such I'm going to say it again, an intelligent performance. I mean, he literally articulated his way through that race superbly well, and he was not intimidated by any stretch of the imagination. He was patient, really, throughout the race. He hung in behind Jarno Ottmere, waited for the opportune moment. And I get the feeling, and I said it earlier on, when he made that overtake on Jarno Ottmere, it almost had in the back of his mind that he knew that Alvaro Caraton was going to be quite racy here. And I think he wanted that battle between Jarno and Alvaro to really take place, just to give him that little bit of breathing room. I really do think that was his plan, Andy.
Yeah, it probably was, and maybe that's why I was, I was wrong in what I said at first. I thought I was thinking maybe that's a bit early, because you've got 3 or 4 more laps of Jarno now maybe attacking you. But you're right, George. I never thought of that. He probably didn't even know that Caraton had been saving all that battery up, but he almost anticipated it. And then as soon as he got through, as you say, Caraton, this is my moment, this is my chance. I'm going to go attacking Ottmere. And as soon as that happened, Vallejo's sitting there like, here we go. This is my chance to sprint. And that's what happened. It worked out brilliantly for him as well. And we haven't even mentioned Valentin Bruffer yet. What a performance from him. Hard tyre, different strategy, worked really well. Maybe he didn't have the ultimate pace to really challenge. I think maybe after his stop, after his outlap, he'll be a bit annoyed and he didn't push on a wee bit more in those first few laps, because he maybe could have got ahead of one of the other 2 in front of him, and if he did, it might have put him in position to win. But when you're 4th in a 4-car battle that tight, it's difficult to move up through when they're so close on pace and you're on the hard tyre. But still, what a performance from him. Yeah, very good.
I mean, I want to look at Valentin Bruffer because, despite where he finished, I mean, P3, great result against a grid like this. But, nevertheless, I mean, he's got what you fundamentally need to be successful. He has got the pace. That is fundamental. And he actually had a fastest lap on a hard set of tyres, which was extraordinary. Bear in mind, we had drivers on softs, mediums. That fastest lap could have gone anywhere else. But Valentin Bruffer on a set of hard tyres, he has got the fundamental pace, which is literally the base talent that you need. If he can increase his consistency, maybe look at his the way that he plans or strategizes his race, he could be a force to be reckoned with as well. And again, he's part of that fraternity of young drivers that we're seeing coming through now. Jake Benham, Valentin Bruffer, Chana Kinchi, Yari Fitz, Ruben Vallejo now as well. We could be seeing a huge conglomerate of new up-and-comers really start to take it to the top end now in esports, which is tremendous because we've had, I would say, it's been a very consistent measure of top performers in the world of esports up to now. So let's see the young upstarts have a chance, shall we?
Yeah, exactly. And George, I'd hate to be a team manager of an F1 esports team right now, because if I was a team manager, I'd be watching PSGL, I'd be watching WOR, and I'd be like, oh, there's another great driver, there's another one performing well, there's another one, and your head must be spinning. You'd be spinning. Who do I pick? Who do I actually pick? So many top young talents coming through. Benham had a great couple of races recently, wasn't to be today, and who rises to the occasion today? Vallejo. Valentin Bruffer today. It's nuts. It really is nuts. And I never really mentioned it yet, but Vallejo getting Bruffer in the early laps of that race was really key, actually, to the result of the Grand Prix, wasn't it? Because he could have easily found himself behind Bruffer, because he started in front of Bruffer, didn't he? And Vallejo made that early move. So, all these small margins and small moments that happen in a race this close can have such a major impact on it. And fair play to Vallejo for getting the result. Fantastic. And a Spanish 1-2. Well, what a result for them.
Yeah, I mean, you can do all the planning you like. You could do, like Mike Tyson says, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Naturally, today, we've seen it twice. You had to put the puzzle pieces today for Esteban Ocon to win in Hungary today. And naturally today as well, we got an Alpine again touching the top step. But again, like you say, if he hadn't made that crucial move on Valentin Bruffair, we likely would have seen an outright battle between Karaton and Otmir for the P1 spot. But like I say, this is the beauty of F1 Esports. We get to see these kind of battles all the time. And certainly here at WOR, where we've got such a vast array of different talents, whether they're signed to esports teams or whether they're up-and-comers, they still can all compete at the very top level. And that is why we get to see such fascinating racing. And the beauty of it is as well, you might find the esports drivers may take a solitary line or a solitary strategy going into a race, but then the new up-and-comers might be trying various different things to get noticed, and they know that they've got to bring their A game and challenge. And this is why you see all the youngsters trying to maybe risk it a little bit, maybe try and try something new, put it on the line. They've got nothing to lose. Why not get yourself up there and in the hunt for an esports seat? And that's exactly what these leagues are all about.
Exactly, George. It's brilliant. It's a great platform. A lot of people watch it now. It's just perfect to strut your stuff and show what you can do. There's no pressure on you. It's brilliant, and you saw there, they're not scared to get in a battle with Jarno Otmir and rub wheels and go for moves. It's brilliant. It really is brilliant, and it's exactly what we want. It's exactly what we love to see, and that's what makes PSGL WOR so exciting. And it's just a perfect platform to just show what you can do and impress people. And they've got to go out there and be aggressive at times and go for the alternate strategies to get noticed and show people watching what they're made of. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it definitely is, folks. And I hope you all enjoyed that at home as well, folks, because I have to say that was a crazy bit of racing we saw at the end. And I hope you have also clicked the like button and also subscribed to the World Online Racing YouTube channel. It only gets better and better every race we have here at the very top of WOR. And it's a pleasure for me and Andy to bring you the content each and every week. I'm really looking forward to the season that we've got coming ahead as well. Obviously, we got various platforms making themselves known, including the likes of Xbox, PlayStation as well. But PC, this is where you can see the best roosters, of course, looking to try and earn their stripes, should I say, at the top end of esports, trying to get themselves a possible racing seat for the F1 Esports Pro Series. But of course, you can keep up to date with all the action by heading on to the WOR Twitter account. That's WOR League. Make sure you check that out as well. Leave a follow. And like I said, leave a sub and a like to this YouTube channel. As you can see below me and Andy as well, we've got our new Twitter. We've got our new Twitter tags below us here on this screen. So make sure you check us out down below as well. Mine is, of course, at George Morgan TV. And if you look next to me, underneath Andy, you've got at Ginger Andy F1 as well. Make sure you check us both out. Feel free to get in touch. You're more than welcome, and we would like to hear from you as to what you think of the WR broadcast and who you think is going to be the next up and coming star in the world of esports in Formula One or sim racing in general. But anyway, folks, it's been an absolute pleasure. Myself and Andy have had a good one. Andy, got any final thoughts for us?
I just can't wait for the season to start, George. That's it. I just cannot wait to get underway, see what the grid we've got, and see who can come out on top. Because I think when we do get going with it this tight, consistency will be the key to glory. Yeah, absolutely. You could not. You put it spot on. Absolutely. It's just anyone's championship, folks. So make sure you tune in for round one. It will not be long till the season starts. Please make sure that you stay tuned in to the Twitter account to stay up to date with all the latest updates, and we'll be there to bring you the action. But today, folks, it was Ruben Vallejo who took an unlikely win today. Alpine in jubilation. What a day for him. Jarno Otmir suffering at the very end with Karaton, and then Valentin Bruffair picking up the pieces. I have to say, it's a frenzy here at WOR. We'll see you next time. Do take care. Goodbye.
Antoine is going to be crowned your WOR Season 10 champion.
And history's been made. Ballina, the first WOR PS4 champion. What a championship! What a season! Phenomenal.